Hello, my name is Nick Norby, and I'm the host of History Up in Smoke, cigar chat of classical icons, where I discuss individuals from all epochs of time. In this installment, I'm going to be talking about Lucius Domitius Aenobarbus. You might know him better by his adopted name, Nero, who was one of the most pernicious of the Claudian dynasty emperors. But before we talk about Nero, let's go grab a cigar. I'm trying my best to love this stick. These are about $20 a pop, so it's not like breaking the bank. I'm getting a little bit of flavor that I like. You know, a lot of Cuban cigars kind of have their own little twang to them, and this one definitely has a little bit of that, but not enough to really impress me with its flavors. So right now we're gonna keep trying and hope, cross our fingers, that this one gets a little bit better. Where were we? Oh, yes, we were talking about this huge fight that erupts between Nero and Agrippina. Mother and son duking it out. Agrippina threatens Nero. She tells Nero that he's not even the rightful emperor, that Britannicus is the one who should be the emperor because he has the blood of the Caesars coursing through his veins, and Nero's the son of a military general. Nero is extremely offended, kicks his mom out of the palace. She's living on her own at this time. The connection between Nero and mother has been completely severed, and he's not going to anybody for any advice at this point. But now he sees that Britannicus is a potential threat to his power, and Nero is going to get rid of him. He goes to the same individual that his mother did, Locusta, and he gets a very powerful poison ready for Britannicus. They're at a banquet, and Nero is sitting at one table, Britannicus and some of his friends are at another, and Nero tells Britannicus's tutor to poison his cup, to put this poison that he got into the cup, and he does. And Nero's looking around, everybody's talking, eating, drinking, and all of a sudden Britannicus takes a couple sips of it and he starts gasping and coughing and choking, and he almost instantaneously collapses to the floor, and people are kind of looking around like, what's going on? And Nero leans over and he's like, oh, poor Britannicus, he has epilepsy and seizures, he'll be okay. Within minutes, Britannicus is dead. Nero has eliminated any threat that would possibly overthrow him as emperor. And man, like mother, like son. This was Nero's first decision on his own, and it was not obviously a good one, and things from here begin to continually digress. And the relationship between mother and son gets so bad that now Nero is going to kill his own mother. She's going to be the next one to go. And you gotta love the Romans. They love their contraptions. Nero's first plan to kill his mother is an epic failure. He has some of his genius craftsmen build a collapsible ceiling in his mother's bedroom. So when she goes to bed at night, the ceiling gets weak, it gives way, and a ton of cement and concrete just comes smashing down. Well, bad news for Nero, his mother didn't stay there that night. And the maid, or the servant, the next morning comes into the bedroom, and the bed is just leveled to smithereens. It's gone, flattened, and Agrippina finds out about this, and she knows that Nero is trying to kill her. And Nero's got to scramble and do something to appease his mother to just stop this stuff. So he invites her out to mend differences, to try and reconcile whatever they can. So mom thinks. And he invites her for dinner, and she travels across the Bay of Naples. And Nero knows at this time, he's like, poison's out of the question. You know, my mom knows all about this poison business, and it's not going to work on her. So he comes up with another contraption, a collapsible boat. This time, they build a boat that when a lever is pulled, it's going to open up and just water's going to flow in and the boat's going to sink and mom is going to drown and it'll look like an accident. Well, the idiots built it the wrong way. They put the hinges in wrong, so when they pulled the lever, instead of going up, it started going down like this. And eventually they get it open and the boat starts to sink and mom jumps overboard. I guess Nero didn't know this. She was a good swimmer. And there's some clam fishermen that pick her up and bring her to shore. Nero finds out about this a couple hours later. And he goes to the Praetorian Guard. He says, you go finish this woman off right now by whatever means necessary. They won't do it. They had too much respect for Agrippina's father, Germanicus, the great warrior and general of Rome. So Nero goes, okay, they won't do it. He gets the naval commander that was on the boat that sunk the ship and his men to burst through her door and kill her. They do. They bust into her door and Agrippina is woken up from sleep and she is in utter disbelief. She's like, what is going on here? And they start to club her. And as they're clubbing her, she points to her womb and she says, strike here. And she's clubbed to death. And now Agrippina is out of the way as well. And this just cascades. The next in line is his wife Octavia, who he divorces, exiles her, and not long after she's in exile, Nero has her killed. I mean, the guy is turning into an absolute monster by this time. And he remarries again, Poppaea. She gets murdered by Nero as well. When she's pregnant with their second child, the first one had died, he kicks her in the stomach so hard that both her and the child die. Next were the senators. Anybody that disagreed with Nero or got in his way, he did away with them. And the final and probably worst death of them all was his killing of his tutor, Aeneas Seneca. Like I said, he was a great philosopher and a decent man. He lived by the cardinal virtues of the Stoics to be just, to act in courage, to be wise, to have temperance, and above all, show self-control. All the things that he had infused into the young Nero that Nero threw away. Well, Nero accused him of trying to plot against him, and he forced Seneca to commit suicide by slitting his wrists and bleeding out. And that's what happened to Aeneas Seneca. And like I said, there was just a cascade of things that begin to happen with Nero at this point. My cigar is, again, burning a little slow. I gotta smoke a little bit more of this. Bless you. I'm outside. I'm gonna enjoy a little bit more of this, come back, and we're gonna wrap up with Nero. And this last part, pretty terrible what Nero did to some really nice, innocent people. So I'll be right back. It's not very often that I do this, but I don't know that I'm even going to finish this cigar. It's got a pretty nice burn to it, but it's very bland. And again, it might be just because of, my taste buds right now. It's a little bit later in the evening. I haven't ate for hours, but it's kind of the smoke is getting dry. Like I said, there's a little bit of a twang of that kind of sweetness to it every now and then, but not enough for me to say, hey, this is a good cigar. Now, that doesn't mean I won't try this cigar again in the future. I've got several of these, but right now it's just, I'm not feeling it. And you know what? That happens with cigars. Everybody has a different palate, And some people may just absolutely love one cigar, and another person might not like it. But there's a general consensus. Usually, if it's a good cigar, you're really going to enjoy it. And this one's rated pretty good, so I'll try it again in the future just to see what happens. Something else I did is I cut in a little bit too far. I did the exact same thing that I warned everybody not to do. Cut too far into the shoulder where it begins to unravel a little bit. I managed to kind of patch it together a little bit there, but it's been a problematic night with this cigar. But let's finish up with Nero. In July of 64 AD, there's a great fire that just scorches the city. It began on the southern end of the Circus Maximus. And it literally just, it was dry. Rome gets really windy, and when the wind blows and it's dry out, I mean, it's perfect for a fire to just explode throughout the city. So, I mean, this thing raged out of control, and there was panic throughout the city. There was a lot of good people trying to help the elderly, maybe people that were handicapped, to get them out of harm's way, but a lot of looting started to take place as well. And it was just a horrible, horrible time. It was the worst fire ever in Rome. And a lot of people say, oh, Nero had burned Rome down. He started the fire. Nero didn't start the fire. He was in Antium at the time. He was not responsible for it. You know, he had these aspirations of building Rome a better place, and he did afterwards. He rebuilt the city and configured it the way he wanted to. But this fire went on for about 6 days strong, and it finally stopped. And then it started again for another 3 days. So this was like a 9-day event of just scorching the city. And ancient artifacts were lost. Wonderful old buildings completely just burned to rubble. And they were gone forever, those artifacts. And there were hundreds of thousands of people that were now homeless in Rome. Well, if you're the emperor, you're responsible. And Nero got blamed for the fire, and he needed to shift that blame over to someone else. Enter the Christians. The first century historian, who was a contemporary, Cornelius Tacitus, tells us that Nero shifted the blame onto a sect that was despised by the populace, known as Christians, and that their follower, Jesus Christ, who lived in Judea, was crucified under the prefect Pontius Pilatus, or Pontius Pilate. And he was guilty of crime, and they crucified him, and to this day his people live. But they were despised by the populace because of some of the things they did and the way they lived, and Nero shifted the blame onto them. And can you imagine when over a third of the city is burned, hundreds of thousands are homeless, and these people get blamed for it? There's going to be hell to pay, and there was. Nero did the most exquisite tortures to these people. He would have them crucified naked, and when he would have parties, the naked people would be lined on crosses, dipped in tar, and lit as lanterns for his parties at night, burned alive. He would release wild dogs on them, and these wild dogs would literally tear these people to pieces. These people that did absolutely nothing wrong. Nero would release them in the circus, and there would be bears, lions, everything attack them. They had to defend themselves with no weapons. They didn't stand a chance. And thousands of these people, perhaps, were mercilessly captured and murdered for something they didn't do. And Nero had many, many more problems that proceeded to go on as the years went by. And he finally took his own life in the year 68 AD. He had been abandoned by the Praetorian Guard. He had become public enemy number 1 in Rome. The Senate despised him. They wanted him dead. And Nero went outside the city and barely had enough guts to even kill himself, but he did do it. And he wasn't even given a proper burial. which he shouldn't have been. The guy was a monster. He was the first and only member of the imperial family that had been denied a burial in Augustus's mausoleum. Like I said, I'm not enjoying the cigar, and man, even the talk that we're talking about maybe isn't the best for enjoying a cigar. But that's what we're here to do. We want to enjoy a good cigar and have a conversation. But Nero is a prime example of what unbridled passion, lust, and an individual with unlimited powers can do, or what they can turn into, and how they can become a monster. And you know, even in today's epoch of time, there are monsters among us. Well, I'm going to put this baby out. Unfortunately, sorry for all you people out there that love the H. Upmann number 46. I'll try it again in the future. Maybe it'll be better next time around. Maybe I'll have a big steak or something and then smoke it. Kind of open up the taste buds a little bit more. But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time.